As you and I are recording this, we are just days away from the release of the Vince McMahon documentary. And Eric Bischoff and I are going to be going live every night, 6 nights in a row at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, exclusively at 83weeks.com. It's totally free. And we're going to be breaking down each of these episodes. We'll start next Wednesday, the very day it comes out. 5 p.m. Eastern, 83weeks.com. Eric and I will be live on YouTube. It's totally free. So if you haven't already, go hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications bell. You don't want to miss it. But the more that we hear about this, the more we hear that, I mean, even Dave Meltzer said that he was interviewed for this and he was asked about every controversy. There was no stone that was unturned here. So they're going to address all of the controversies, allegedly, or they did in the interviews. I guess we don't know what wound up in the cutting room floor. But as the story goes, there are folks who were not too happy in WWE with the final product. And as you said last week, it's kind of weird timing, you know, with WWE going to Netflix, and now maybe there's some less than favorable things they have to deal with on a Netflix program. But maybe they can paint that picture that, hey, that was with Vince and Vince is gone and that's no longer the case. And I know people are certainly scratching their heads with the news that the plaintiff in that Vince McMahon lawsuit from earlier this January, she's now hired a major PR firm before the release of this Vince McMahon documentary. This thing is just getting weirder and deeper by the day, it seems, Eric.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day. I read that story about the PR firm, and you know, I'm going to be careful what I say here because I don't want to give people the wrong impression. But anytime that you see civil suits being litigated in the media, it makes me question. Now, I know you have to in a big lawsuit, big litigation, especially high-profile stuff. You do have to manage your the public relations aspect of it. I get that. But I really hope that this isn't so obvious. I mean, what I want to say is I hope that we don't see the PR firm representing Ms. Grant try too hard to exploit this, because I think it will only create more questions in this he said, she said, because at this point, that's what this is. It's a he said, she said, with a lot of, nasty stuff that we've seen posted. But it still comes down to a civil suit at this point. And I just hope we don't get bombarded with the National Enquirer type of headlines that would be so easily associated with something like this. It would be nice if these things were played out in court, and sure, the public needs to know and has a right to know. There's no question about that. But the amount of drama and scripted entertainment that's created by situations like this can really distort the facts. So I'm hopeful that we don't get bombarded with nonsense. Let's put it that way.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, just as a reminder, we've got that civil suit that we all read about and heard about this past January. Allegedly, according to reports, the United States government has asked that she pause that lawsuit for 6 months back in May so they could work on their federal case. We don't know a lot of the further details, but that would get us to like November. And then I guess she can pick up her lawsuit again. But in the middle of that, oh, by the way, here's Netflix, the biggest streaming platform the world has ever known. And they're going to tell a little story about it. Like, this just muddies the water and makes everything even more complicated. Like, you got 3 things going on. And oh, by the way, there's also this company trying to sort of figure out the new path forward without the chairman who's a subject to this. I mean, this in and of itself, the timing of these things is a movie. I mean,
that's the part that is the most bizarre. Yeah, and one would have to believe strongly that WWE's got a little bit of a voice inside of Netflix. And if you have a voice, why would you not do whatever you can to at least delay this? I doubt that Netflix was obligated to air the series. as a part of their deal with the producer. I've never heard of anything like that, but it's possible. And if Netflix didn't have a contractual obligation to do so, why would they? Why would they release anything that could have potentially a negative effect on the brand that they just invested $5 billion in? That's the part that's a head scratcher, man.
The whole thing is weird and the timing is weird. And I don't know, but I know that you and I are going to be talking about it next week along with the rest of the world. And we want to be the first folks you tune into. So 5 p.m. Eastern, 83weeks.com on your ride home from work. Check it out. It's totally free. 83weeks.com. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss when Eric and I are live. And yes, you'll be able to ask Eric questions. It's going to be interactive. It's not recorded. It's live, so we can chat. Hit us up at 83weeks.com. Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about some other news and notes that fit the headlines since you and I sat down to record. Dustin Rhodes' future in AEW, is it in question? There's a report out that his contract is ending sometime soon. We've heard some whispers that perhaps in the month of September. So really, really soon. As we're recording, he's still, I think he's still got the ROH 6-man tag team title. I'm curious, like, it's hard for me to imagine him wanting to do more with WWE. I mean, I understand wanting to be with your brother and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I get all the success that he's enjoyed there, but he had such a long run with WWE. Is there something to maybe AEW and Dustin Rhodes aren't forever? What do you expect to see here?
Hey, who knows? Who knows when it comes to talent in AEW and Tony's decisions? They're different. What I've heard, don't know it's true or not true, but just the internet chatter is that Tony doesn't like higher profile talent leaving AEW and is willing to pay to avoid the perception that people want to leave AEW. If that's true, big if that's true, it's a great opportunity for Dustin to set himself up for retirement if he hasn't done so already. And if that's the case, I'm so happy for Dustin because he's a good guy. He is a good human being, unbelievably talented, and I think in some ways criminally underrated in terms of his thought process, his creative instincts. On the other hand, there's a tremendous amount of story that could be told in WWE with Cody.
Yes.
I mean, that's where I would go mentally. I mean, that's all of my thought process would be, because what is Dustin going to do in AEW? He's been there for 5 years. What more is he going to do with his character? But in WWE, you could write a book. You could write a novel with the stories that you could create with Dustin and Cody. Everything from Cody and Dustin, Dustin being there for Cody and supporting Cody and getting involved when he needs to get involved or when it's appropriate, because Cody's his brother. Or you could go the other way. It could be jealousy and envy, all those things that make great movies and great stories. That could also be a big angle into storytelling, or premise, I should say, not an angle. That'd be a great premise. That's what, if I was Dustin and that opportunity was out there, or even if I hoped it would be out there, again, assuming that Dustin was set financially, because that's also a big part of the equation as you're getting closer to that age, right? I can tell you for sure, it's a big part of your thought process and should be. But man, the storytelling potential in WWE would be freaking awesome.
It would be fascinating to think, that there might be an opportunity for him to do something with WWE. I mean, I'm not trying to put this out there, but Bad Blood is right around the corner. It's in Atlanta, Cody's hometown.
Ooh.
I think there's a Survivor Series coming up. Maybe there could be a mystery tag team partner. I mean, there's a lot of, if you want to talk about a bloodline storyline, well, he is in his bloodline. So we'll see. But I do think, I would give some question to, hey, what's next for Dustin? Like after he finishes the wrestling career, we know he's got the his Fabulous Wrestling Academy, which by the way, this has been under the radar. But I mean, I think everybody knows that, hey, Dustin has a sister named Kristen, and Kristen's boys are now a tag team. So we've got another generation of Dusty Rhodes tag team wrestling. I just think that's
awesome.
super exciting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, how cool is that?
I dig it kind of when you go, look, I'm not really trying to put this out there. And then you throw this fucking hand grenade of a good idea. I was like, oh, Bloodline. Whoa, I didn't think of that. And I'm sure other people that are really into this, but I just let you, you're so subtle. I'm not trying to, make anybody think I'm serious about it. Hey, what if?
Well, listen, because
that's pretty cool.
As you know, I'm real life friends with Bruce Pritchard, but we don't ever talk about creative. And we don't talk about creative.
Right.
But when I say that to other people, they're like, sure you don't. And it's like, well, it's I'm in a weird spot. It does me no favors to ask, so we just don't discuss it. But I would be interested to see it. But I would be wondering, after In Ring, what's next for Dustin? We know he's got the Wrestling Academy, so he has a passion for teaching. I don't know that he would necessarily want to live in Florida, but Dustin being a part of NXT makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. And like I said earlier, I think Dustin's creative instincts are criminally underrated. I don't think he's ever really had the opportunity, and he's learned a lot too. Look, you just look at what he's gone through creatively now as a character. He is probably one of the more valuable people to have on your creative team. Not that he's going to come up with all the good ideas, not that he's going to, save anybody's company, but he would be so cool to have on your team because Dustin thinks differently than most people do. And he could be such added value. I hope he ends up in WWE. I really do, because like I said, I don't think he's going to get an opportunity to showcase what he's capable of in AEW. It's just the company's not set up that way. But he'd be a powerful asset in WWE or in NXT. I meant NXT. Those, especially those younger kids, man, they're not kids. They're adults, but to me, they're kids. Anybody under 30 is a kid at this point. They would benefit so much from Dustin's experience and ability to teach. You heard the saying, those who can do and those who can't do teach.
Yes.
Dustin is one of those rare people that can do and can really teach because he has a passion for it.
Yeah, I think he would fit in great. Another guy who, you talk about can and do and teach. Shawn Michaels at NXT, Dustin Runnels at NXT. Boy, we're checking a lot of boxes. Not trying to speak that into existence. I know my man's got his own wrestling school. He's probably got a great quality of life right now. And on some level, hey, man, that's hard to beat. You get to make a great living and still pursue your in-ring dreams, and you get to run a wrestling school. He's got the tiger by the tail right now. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But